I read a book in high school called Atlas Shrugged, and the very first sentence, if I recall, was, "Who is John Galt?" Well, a woman who knows the answer to that question is Kris Sims, who joins us now from our Ottawa studio. Hey, Kris, thanks for being here today.
It is a great pleasure. Thank you, Ezra.
Now, what does that mean? Who is John Galt? And you've got some photos of people asking that question. Let's roll the photos. It's a Tea Party saying, but it started out as sort of a call for freedom. Look, there's a sign there. What's that whole thing mean, Kris?
Well, without giving the mystery of the massive book away, it's a 1,200-page book, of course, written by Ayn Rand, who is a Russian-born philosopher who chose to come to America to escape Soviet communism. Basically, who is John Galt is a question asked out of pain and frustration. John Galt is this mysterious figure or a name within the book Atlas Shrugged, who a lot of people think is behind the shrugging of industry. Basically, in this fictional book, set in the 1950s or so, government intervention and government regulation is continuously throttling innovation and growth of business and personal freedoms. And what John Galt represents to a lot of people is a lot of these innovators, creators, scientists, and businessmen just going, you know what, I quit. I'm not going to put my time into this. I'm not going to put my brains into this. And I'm just going to go push a broom or go camp out somewhere in the hills and wait for civilization to crumble around your feet because you guys can't do anything. So
it would be great people who are sick of being taxed and regulated to death, basically checking out. It would be as if Steve Jobs had lived on, God willing, and would have said, you know what, I'm sick of being taxed. I'm just going to quit and go somewhere else, and you all can tax each other, the unproductive class, and I'll be somewhere else. That's what it's about, really. It's about the overburdensome nature of big government. Now, let me ask you, you brought a lot of pictures with you. We just scrolled through them from the Tea Party. How is the Tea Party an Ayn Rand or Ayn Rand kind of phenomenon? What would she say if she was still alive today?
Oh, that's a great question. Thank you for asking it. Basically, the Tea Party, in one sense, wants small government. That's their big thing. And that was one of Ayn's many big things. She basically wanted the government to only deal with the police, the law courts, and defending the border. That's it. She wanted nothing else to do with government. So she was, people described her as an anarchist/capitalist in that way. So the Tea Party's taking a page out of the book, so to speak, in that way, saying, you know, government back off my land, private property rights, that sort of thing. But there's an interesting element within the Tea Party that I think Ayn would snort at, and that is, of course, the so-called religious right. Michelle Bachmann would not really have a very fun conversation with Ayn Rand. Ayn Rand was an atheist, and when she first published Atlas Shrugged, she was actually detested by many on the right who see Christianity as a founding principle of the United States of America, and they saw her basically as a heretic for atheistic views. However, for the purposes of the Tea Party and laissez-faire free market capitalism, a lot of people I find are kind of ignoring that part of Ayn Rand and Atlas Shrugged and focusing mostly on government has to back off, government must stop this constant regulation and strangulation of innovation.
Now, there has been a fictional adaptation of her novel, but there's also a new documentary, which is why we're talking about this today. Can you tell me about, and we're watching some scenes from the documentary right now, tell me about this documentary. How can we see it? Is it on DVD? Is it at a film festival? Where can we see this modern take on Ayn Rand's book?
Well, you can see it at private screenings held by aficionados and people who are fans of Ayn Rand in select cities. You'd have to go to their website to look that up. It's also being released on DVD in the United States on Halloween. And I've seen it already. I was able to screen it online. It's interesting in that a lot of people who have read Atlas Shrugged thoroughly and really thought about it have seen headlines from it in newspapers recently. Ever since the 2008 recession, ever since the big bailouts, ever since the term too big to fail came out, a lot of people have been saying, whoa, spidey sense is tingling. This is right out of the pages of the book. And that's the main part of the book, is constant and increasing government regulation and basically rewarding, you know, crony capitalists and failed businessmen with taxpayers' bailouts and laws that help them rather than allowing them to fail or punishing them. So it picks up off of this that a lot of people have been talking about it for years and makes it into the prophecy of Ayn Rand. Now, so that's where it goes from. I liked the documentary. However, I found it ventured a little bit too far into her biography. Ayn Rand has a fascinating personal story, and I found they kind of fell down that rabbit hole. It's really only the last 20 minutes where they start making connections.
Chris Sims, I'm glad you're digging deep in this stuff. I haven't seen either the adaptation of her novel or this documentary, but you know what? I'd love to see both. I think it's a story everyone needs to reread because you're right, so many of those things are coming true. We got to leave it there, Chris. We'll talk to you again really soon, I hope.
You bet.
Take care.